This is a CC Radio podcast.
Welcome to episode 280 of the Countdown Podcast. Today, Paul and I are going to brag on how smart we think we are, so it might be a short episode. My name is Wayne.
My name is Paul. Welcome to the podcast. We count down movies and sometimes television in order of awesomeness so you don't have to. And today, as Wayne has once again adroitly alluded, we are talking the top 10 films that failed to fool us.
Did not fool us. Tried, failed.
Yes, like this is a companion piece to last week's show where we basically talked about how dumb we are, where we were totally taken for a ride by films where they were the films that did fool us. These ones, not so much.
That's right. And this is a particularly difficult one for me because I often, much to Paul's chagrin, pride myself on not thinking when I'm in a movie. Okay?
This is the dumbest shit
right.
anyone ever said in the history of, and I don't think I'm exaggerating here, time.
Similar to how Paul was not thinking when he thought of this fucking soundboard bullshit.
Eat my ass!
Yeah,
Eat
there you
all
go.
the asses, man.
If you're new to the show, welcome. It's wonderful to have you
And
here.
I'm sorry about that.
Wayne gets a sample of himself on the soundboard from time to time.
And
but
Paul doesn't understand that that's not funny because people think I'm saying shit to myself. It's not.
Paul doesn't understand it, and nor do the bulk of the listeners who
That's my exact
love
point.
Love it.
Anywho.
So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to talk to you. The spoilers will be aplenty, but we'll always name the film first and then give you a chance to fast forward before we ruin a film. I've got one very recent film on my list.
I have one 2019, which I actually will not spoil, still get my point across. You know what I'm saying? That's
All right,
not
well,
what
I can do that as well for the one I'm going
You
to
can
talk
do
about. But be that as it may, it will be a fun show. I have zero doubt.
Damn right.
We are both impressed and amazed by what failed to fool us. Well, I think will be a lot of.
By the way, this is what it's like, ladies, to just be a man. You're constantly impressed at shit that you did, and you keep thinking about it because you're self-obsessed. Just so you know.
Not sure I'd subscribe to
Every man.
Well, there you go. The world according to Wayne. You'll probably get a bit of that today, as you do most weeks. But let's get into that on the other side of this segment that kicks off the show that we call The Recount. Who wants a recount? Who wants a recount? Who wants a recount? Who wants a recount?
Who indeed? Paul, what's on the wire this week?
Well, this week we've got just one thing to do, and that is to do our live prize draw for the patrons of the show.
Bring it, son.
And it's going to involve a coffee mug and a t-shirt pack sent straight to your home in these COVID times, so you don't need to go to the shop to buy them because, of course, our Countdown gear is stocked everywhere.
Hell yeah. Also a t-shirt of your size.
Yes, you need to let us know that. But we've sent out a recent prize pack to Paul Murphy, was the winner from the reviews competition we ran a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Thank you again, Paul, for that. Thank you all for your reviews. Today's one's for the patrons. Now, had to think about how to do this and wanted to kind of give it a little bit of a...
Paul loves process, everyone.
Yes, a weighted average towards the people that put in more, right?
I'm so glad you're handling this.
Okay.
I would not have any idea what the fuck it
So
is.
here's how it's going to work. If you give $1 to the show, you get one entry into the draw. If you put $20 to the show in, you get 20 entries in.
Right.
Simple as that. And everything in between.
See, Paul's there.
Okay, so we have a number between 1 and 422.
422
1
entries?
and 422 tickets in the box, representing our 67 patrons.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to hit the number here with after Wayne's impressive drum roll.
Yep.
Right, and I'm going to hit the generate number button, and it's going to spit out a number. The low levels are the $1 patrons through. The high number is the $20 patrons.
Okay, fine.
Here we go, sir.
Okay.
Pressing it now after the drum roll.
Start with a snare, end with a cymbal.
Number 2. Let's have a look. It's a $1 patron.
Excellent.
And the winner is Drew Hallam from the Real Feels podcast. Thank you, Drew. Thank you all. That's it's impressive.
And you wonderful patrons. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. We'll do another one of these next month.
Yeah.
I think maybe we'll do it once a month for the patrons.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way of doing
That's
it.
a good call. Anyone wants to join up, Patreon is where we do all our shit and you get nasty stories, usually from me, but also from Paul.
Yeah, that's at the $10. But you get lots extra reviews.
Sorry, extra views as well. Yeah, depends on what. Hit the levels, do some stuff. It'd be great.
Old episodes you can only get through the Patreon and an early release as well. Thank you to everybody. And 67 names is too many to yell out, but we're constantly amazed by what we can do with the show.
Yes, you guys are wonderful people, and thank you again.
Generosity. All right, there was no vote last week, and there won't be any vote this week either. But we did put out a list or a request for your suggestions for what we should do as topics for the top 10s, and we're going to pick one of those at the end of the show, so listen in there for what we'll be doing next week on the show. That's the end of the recount. Let's get into the episode proper on the other side of this music cue. Top 10 films that failed to fool us.
By the way, everyone, Paul forgot to mention that
yeah.
if you wanted to join the Patreon, there's a link on the show notes.
He did. Sorry about
All good in the hood.
all that. All right, so, Wayne, it's pretty straightforward. These are plot twists or big plot developments which are meant to catch you unawares. Don't
But
have to be the very end of the
failed to.
film, but failed to. You
Yeah.
saw it coming a million trillion miles away. You said this would be harder for you, so
Yes.
why don't you lead away with your number 10, sir?
All right, cool. Just a warning, everyone. My list is slightly Jolie-licious. You may
What do you
see
mean?
quite a bit of Angelina Jolie. I just wanted to say that.
And
Bitch, please. And that's
All right,
why
I can think of at least one film.
there's two.
Right,
But
okay.
it starts with this one, and it's Salt.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone, Salt is a... First of all, Salt is a good-ass movie. I like Salt. It's great, right? Angeloni Lily, no, Angelina, right, is basically... She plays this, let's say, a CIA operative who was held captive and tortured in North Korea, and then she's, after her boyfriend raises enough publicity to force the agency to arrange a prisoner exchange, she comes back, and then later on in an interrogation, you find out that she's actually a Russian double agent. And it's like, oh shit. But here's the thing about this movie. Right, exactly. But the problem with the movie is all that shit happens within the first... maybe the first half, not the first act, but the first half. All that shit happens in the first act, and you know there's tons to go. So I'm like, there's no way this is the end of it. What actually happens in the end? I'm like, I'll bet you she's actually
triple agent.
She's a triple agent. She's
Right.
back on the side of this.
Yeah.
So, but I knew it from there, and I was like, but first of all, like, I did not affect my enjoyment of the movie at all, but I called the fuck out of it. I just called the shit out of it. So, one guy talking, I never call movies, people. I never do.
Well, apparently you caught it 9 more times.
Okay, 9 more times, but even, like, comparatively to the billions of movies I seem to have watched.
This one's directed by Philip Noy Noy.
Yes, Noi, Aussie, Philly Noise. So, hella noise. So yeah, Salt, that's my number 10.
All
Polly.
right. My number 10 is more a reflection on a certain... Both my 10 and 9 I've put into this category because I wanted to kind of shout out, or nominate is maybe the better word, these films that think that you're dumb enough to fall
Nah.
for a major character death, even though it comes from a long line of source material, which is canon. So I'm talking here specifically about The Dark Knight, right?
All right, okay. I was wondering if this would come up.
And as much as I love The Dark Knight, Dark Knight is one of my favorite films of all time.
Dark Knight is fucking fantastic.
Yep. So not knocking the film at all, but it tries to throw this really soft curveball,
Which is?
Gordon dying to save the mayor.
Yeah,
Of course he's not dead.
absolutely.
No one in their right mind was buying that he was dead because he wasn't even commissioner yet.
And also, the way they did that was the way he looked to have been killed was that he took a bullet for Aaron Eckhart or whoever was on the stage, right?
The mayor,
And
yeah.
the mayor. And he just jumps in front of him and bang, right? And then you don't see him again. If he was actually kind of, they would have showed him
He'd
dying.
die on
Do you know what I
screen.
mean?
That's right. He's
So
a
that's-
big
at-
character.
At no time are you going, Jim Gordon said he's going to turn up again.
Now I want to shout out another film here which does a very similar thing
What?
on the opposite side of the ledger, a Marvel film,
Yeah,
Captain America Winter Soldier.
yeah.
Okay, so here's a spoiler for that film. There's no way Nick Fury was dead. Not in a billion trillion years. And yet the film wants you to go down that line. Now, you love that movie, but
I do
even
love
you
that
will
movie.
acknowledge that's...
Well, you know what it was? The spirit of him. I don't know if I had the moment where, nope, he's definitely alive. I didn't have that. I'm like, oh, what happened there? I wonder what's going to happen next. And then when he turns up again, I'm like, this is comic book cinema fucking class action.
But you weren't
champagne.
fooled. And you weren't champagne
sketch comedy. So, no, I probably wasn't fooled. But then again, I wanted to be fooled. Do you know what I mean?
Whereas that detracted from my enjoyment. Like, sideline him, sure. Have him be injured, have him be... there's, whatever.
It's more exciting if we think he's dead or some people
But
think
no
he's
one
dead.
thought he was dead.
Maybe some people did, Look, I told you, I on purpose don't think so I can enjoy.
Now, you might think that's Wayne applying that to viewing films. What you'll actually be surprised to hear is it's Wayne in
It's
life.
my life, yes. It's kind of my thing, everyone. Oh, damn.
All right, that's my 10.
Nice
Over to
one. Nice one. Here's an odd one. Do you remember the film Ocean's 12, Paul?
Vaguely.
Okay, because everyone thinks vaguely about it, right? It's an odd duck among the three. The first one is the best one.
Oh.
Third one's better.
The
Sorry,
first,
not better,
one,
not as
first one's
good.
the only one that's worth its whole.
Understandable. Yeah, it goes, but this not number 12.
That includes Ocean's 8.
Oh yeah. Okay, I would agree with that.
Terrible.
Yeah. Ocean's 12 though is in England, and the story is that basically 3 years after their big heist in Ocean's 11, Benedict, which is Andy Garcia, actually finds all of them and says, "I'm going to kill you, motherfuckers, but if you want, I'll give you 2 weeks, and you can come up with like."
If you want.
If you want, like, so yeah, I'll give you a reprieve. If you can come up with like twice the amount that you stole or whatever, or some huge amount, I'll not kill you. So then I have to go and do 3 jobs again. But one plot development is that I was looking at it, and there's always little hints through the movie where they're talking about Tess, Julia Roberts, and it's like Matt Damon says to Brad Pitt, like, have you ever noticed that Tess, and Brad Pitt goes, don't say it. It's like, what do you mean? I can't say it. No, and they just refuse to talk about it. And I'm going, I bet you they're talking about in secret how Tess looks like Julia Roberts.
Inconceivable.
I know, right? And then I'm like, I wonder if they're going to move that. And later on in the movie, they use that. She goes into a fucking hotel and poses as Julia Roberts. So this is some meta shit.
It is some
She's
very
Julia
meta shit.
Roberts playing a character who knows she looks like Julia Roberts, and then they use that? I was sitting there going, now, is that a problem with the writing that they had? They wrote themselves into a corner?
I think it was them trying to be desperately very clever.
I think so too, but you know what? I actually really enjoyed that twist. I was like, hey, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm having a good time. Because Bruce Willis is in the movie too, and then he tries to fuck
forgot that.
Yeah, he is there, and he's basically playing Bruce Willis himself, but he's trying to fuck every woman that moves. So even when he turns up against Catherine
Sure,
Zeta...
Demi Moore would agree with that.
Exactly, yes. But he walks up with Catherine Zeta-Jones, who's in character. She's not playing herself. And he's like, hey, how you doing? Like, he's just trying to fuck her as well. It's quite funny.
I think
it's quite
most
funny.
red-blooded males and red-blooded women who are into women would be all over Catherine Zeta-Jones' movie.
Absolutely.
She's stunning.
Lovely girl. So,
That's
yeah.
all I remember about this movie is how hot she is.
I actually liked the Julia Roberts thing, but again, I agree. I mean, I just love George Clooney.
Yes, and Brad Pitt and whatever else, and Matt Damon and blah, blah, blah. All right, my number 9 is, as I said, the other sort of shouting out problems with the industry as a whole rather than these specific films. That here are the most egregiously bad examples thereof that I can think of. And I'm talking about 2 Terminator films, Terminator Genesis and Terminator Salvation, both of which had their major plot points spoiled in the trailer.
The marketing people just don't give a fuck about you after you've bought a ticket.
Yep.
That is a problem. There are so many movies that have done that.
You haven't even bought your
You
ticket.
haven't bought the ticket.
So
They think they'll get you there.
Yeah, all they care about is you going, oh, that looks interesting. I want to buy a ticket. Right. So not recognizing nor caring, as you say,
Yeah.
that your enjoyment of the film will be compromised. So
That's why that movie tanked, man. That's why everyone hates it. I like Salvation. I liked it. I know everyone hates it. I liked it, man.
gives away that, all right, so again, spoilers as for every film we're going to discuss here. It gives away that Marcus is a cyborg.
Sam, what's his name?
Is Sam Worthington.
Yeah.
Right? In Salvation. In Genesis, it gives away that John Connor is now a fucking Terminator.
Yeah.
Flatly in the middle of the trailer. So when he turns up and rescues them, you're like, okay, this is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Imagine how good that moment would have been. Both of those moments would have been had they not been spoiled in the
Dude,
trailers.
you know why the Salvation thing happened, right? So in the trailer, you see the moment where Courtney, Sam
Worthington.
Worthington, right, is strung up against the thing, and his face and his head is actually lashed to the edge of like something. He can't look down, basically, right?
Yep.
And then Christian Bale opens the thing and lets him look down, and he sees that he's half cyborg, and it's this moment because he's looking at himself, and it's crazy, right? It was actually a really good moment, and I reckon the marketing folks went, you know what, that's great. I reckon that'll make people want to watch this. And then they fucked it all up.
idiots.
That would have been so much better if we didn't know.
Exactly. That's my
So
point here.
much
So there's a lot of films that fall into this category, but these are the ones that came to mind
Totes.
for me, particularly Genesis. Garbage.
I've forgotten everything about Genesis. Honestly,
Please
I cannot remember what the
stop
fuck it is.
doing this. Hold back your reveals for the cinematic or even at-home VOD experience. For God's sake,
Having said
have
that,
some thought.
this is it, right? Like, having said that, if I was the marketing guy who made the call and said, you know what, this is going to spoil the movie, but it's going to get more people there, and then the movie does hugely well, I'd be like, yeah, did you see my dick? All right? Because it's unfortunate.
In both of these cases, a
They fucked
juggernaut
up. Yeah.
juggernaut of a series was derailed.
That's right.
I
They didn't do
would
well,
argue-
did they?
No, neither of them did well. Both of them did poorly enough that we had years before the next one came out, and then they were kind of reboots each time.
That's right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that was a bad move. There you go.
Stop doing it. It's not fucking rocket science. Just don't. Oh, that's a really good moment. Yes, leave the really good moment for the film.
Trust me, I'm sure every director agrees with you.
All right, you're number 8.
My number 8 is a movie called The Firm. Yeah, I like Tom Cruise.
Oh, okay.
So here's the actual weird thing about The Firm, okay? This movie is about a hotshot young law graduate, Tom Cruise, and he's really like kind of savant and really good at law firming, so much so that all of the firms in the town are kind of fighting over him, and he finally goes to this smaller, yet more like the number is bigger kind of firm.
Blue
yeah.
collar. Not blue collar, blue chip.
It's actually a smaller firm, not like the big, huge
Oh,
Ernst
right.
& Young.
That's bad analogy. What are me?
That's cool. But the twist about the movie is like, oh, this is an interesting firm, and it's full of like, mostly white people who are like,
Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman, and they're really, really rich.
Wilford Brimley, I think, who just died.
Yes, he did. He's actually the detective in that movie.
Oh,
but
sorry.
yes, but I'm sure he's quite rich. And so they're all these like rich dudes, right? And the twist in the movie is the firm is corrupt. And I'm like, yes.
Dun, dun,
I know. I'm like, wait.
Jeez, that's something I should
Are
put on
you
the
saying
soundboard
all
for
these
today.
fat cat white people who wear fucking like who have like yachts and shit? Are you telling me they got their money from an unethical means? And that was supposed to be a thing?
Who'd have thunk it?
I know. So for me, I remember when I just enjoyed watching Tom Cruise. That was cool. All right.
Well, it wouldn't be much of a film, would it? Like, if The Firm, starring Tom Cruise, goes to work for Gene Hackman, and they just end up being great people, lovely.
Exactly.
And Jan Triplehorn's really happy with him there, and he works long hours, he works very hard, but he gets paid extraordinarily well.
Yeah.
And then a few years later, they have a bunch of children, and those children grow up to be very, very successful in their own right. And they have a couple of moments of marital discord, but they work their way through it.
That would be very boring. No one wants that
So
shit.
in other words, of course.
Of
This whole
course.
film is built on the premise
That's
that
what I
something
say.
must go pear-shaped.
But like it's almost like framing the obvious as a twist. To me, it seemed like that for me at the
So
time.
they really were like, I've
well,
only watched it once.
sort of.
25
yeah.
years
It's an
ago.
interesting. The score is all piano. They just
Yeah,
acoustic
actually,
piano.
that really annoyed the shit out of me.
I know. Score boy. Anyway, it would have been a bigger twist if the film wasn't corrupt. That's what it would have been a bigger twist.
But
That's
what would
bad
the
it
film
is.
have been?
It would have been more that there was some.
You want a big
someone
trial.
tried to kill him or someone took a shit on him. I don't know. Yeah, something like that. But like that
That would have been a twist.
would have been a twist.
Someone tried to take a shit on him.
Oh my god! How
Yeah,
many ways someone's taking
get
a
off.
shit on me?
We've had this discussion several times, and the answer is still no.
Now it's written. Now you know what's called The Firm. Okay. All right. So
Imagine if the same principle applied to The Dark Knight.
what about The Dark Knight Rises?
We can just do, scratch that topic.
okay,
Let's do
okay.
the top 10 films that could have
That sound like-
euphemisms for shit.
yeah.
Runaway Train.
Top 10 hot deuce sounding movies. I don't know why we're here.
I don't know.
Okay.
What a shock that we came back to shit at some point in this episode.
It has been a while.
Before we get to my number 8 then, I just want to acknowledge that I found a great sound effect which is going to populate the rest of the episode.
Oh,
it
dear.
probably will be funny 3 times and then really annoying afterwards. Or if
That
you're
won't
Wayne,
stop, Paul.
funny once.
I can't wait.
My number 8 is from the film Alien Covenant from 2017.
Oh, yes, that's on my list.
Relatively recent. Now, apparently, Ridley Scott defends this as it wasn't meant to be a twist. Well, then fuck off. Don't edit the film in a way that it presents it like it is a massive twist in the very, very second to last scene from memory of the film.
Well, what is the twist indeed, Paul? Tell us the
The
situation
film
and
is,
how it
and,
works
and I
out.
really want you to picture this. The film is there's 2 versions of the android which has gone amok.
Michael Fassbender.
Michael Fassbender. So David has slaughtered humans left, right, and center.
Mm-hmm.
And the other version of this android, Walter,
Walter is the good android.
Is a good android, and he's trying to defend the humans. Anyway, they get into a battle,
Right.
and it gets confusing as to who's who,
Exactly.
and we don't really kind of see how that battle plays out.
Right.
Walter emerges having won. Hooray! He's killed David.
That's right.
Until the very end
He
of the
gets
film,
back on the board. Everyone's like, what's up?
when everyone's getting into their cryo sleep tanks, whatever, and it's revealed.
That
Walter's not Walter. Walter is actually David.
David the bad one.
Did anybody, and I'm not claiming this one as we get higher on my list, I'm pretty happy with my calls. But here I'm just like, this is so painfully obvious.
It was immediately obvious because
we didn't see the way it played out from
Yeah.
my memory of it anyway.
that's right. Okay, first of all, not to get high-minded because we never do that on this show, but there is some
What do you mean? We talked about film names that could be euphemisms for
Good
shit.
duty, exactly, yes. Well, no, here it is, right? Some people talk about this type of twist, right?
Suicide Squad.
Well, this will be what Ridley Scott is talking about, right? Some people they think there's a difference between a twist and what they call dramatic irony. And you might say that the idea here is that, like, to call something a stupid twist, what he's actually doing is he's calling out how the other characters are reacting to this potentially. Like, you as an audience is supposed to know the characters are not supposed to know. Hence, it's dramatic. Exactly.
Set it up more obviously.
That's what you've. He's either his execution is off, or he's lying. And saying, no, I thought that everyone wouldn't be fooled.
Oh, everyone is now calling me out for this shit-ass twist. Here's how I say face.
That's right. And it's a tough one to go with. But yes, I understand that one. That one is totally on my list.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Absolutely. So, nice one.
Over to you then for your number 7.
Okay. Now, there's a movie that everyone hates and that I quite like. The movie is called Superman Returns. Now, the twist in this movie is...
that Wayne enjoyed it.
Well, the thing is, what I got is that, okay, so Superman comes back to Earth after a while, having fucked off to do something, right? In the meantime, Lois Lane has hooked up with James Marsden and had a damn kid, right? And then, he comes back as Clark Kent, gets his own job back. It's actually a wonderfully, like, it looks like the Donner version, and that's why I like it, okay? But halfway through the movie, you're looking at the kid, you're looking at Clark, you're looking at, like, James Marsden, and you're thinking to yourself, I wonder whose kid that really is. And I'm like... It's Superman's kid!
Now, you might think that was rehearsed. It wasn't.
It wasn't. That was just straight off the cuff there. Now, for the record, people, the kid, yes, he's blonde and Superman is a brunette. That's the only thing you get. I'm thinking to myself, here's why I picked it and why it didn't fool me. I'm watching the show going, they're talking a lot about this fucking kid and they're featuring him a lot. There is no point talking about this kid unless Superman's jizz made it. Right? And that's what happened here. In Superman 2, or when they were slightly human for a while, he put a load in Lois Lane, and then they turned back, and it turns out the kid's slightly super, because he throws a fucking piano at a bad guy, which actually was a very good moment. So, one guy talking, I did call it, but I'm sure no one else cared.
Let's just celebrate the fact that in this film, Superman fights no one.
He lifts lots of shit,
lots of shit,
and the plane scene was cool.
What? No.
Amazing.
Plane scene was great.
Biggest piece of shit. One of the worst superhero films ever made.
It was fine.
There's a countdown.
It was
the top 10, the bottom 10 worst superhero films ever made.
That's actually not bad.
Ooh, we may have just found our live one for the... Anyway, so sometime soon. All right, my number 7 then. It's shocking. Yet again. My number 7 is a film where you did not like. You won't be shocked at all by this because I believe you called out several of the plot holes. I like the film, but this particular development was obvious to me from about halfway through the film.
Okay.
I'm talking about Jordan Peele's Us.
Yeah. Obviously, spoilers, everyone. Jordan Peele's Us. I did not like it. Paul did like it?
I did enjoy it.
Okay, and the twist... Sorry, set it up.
Well, there's several... To not go too long-winded.
Yeah.
There's a African-American family. They've gone on a holiday. Yep. They're hanging out with their friends. I can't remember who the guy is, but Elizabeth...
Doesn't matter.
The chick from The Handmaid's Tale, who I've completely blanked on. What's her name? Elizabeth Moss.
Yes.
And they're hanging out with them on this holiday, and then suddenly all around their neighborhood, people are being attacked by people in these red overalls. Turns out they're all doppelgangers
of them
themselves, who are coming up to kill themselves and I guess presumably take their place.
Right.
Lupita Nyong'o
Yeah.
is the main character in the film. Her doppelganger seems to be A, more verbose, and B, more intelligent than the rest. And I'm like, why would that be? Because in the opening scene of the film, she runs into her doppelganger in the middle of this amusement, what are they called? Like beachside carnival, Lost Boys type thing.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, they clearly switched places, didn't they?
So I'm actually trying to remember, because I didn't care for the movie, and I did actually see it and read up on it, and I was like, oh, that's right, I remember. I forgot that she ran into her doppelganger first.
Yeah, the very opening scene of the film.
Yeah.
And because they make a big point of she doesn't talk.
And
because she's so traumatized. No, she's not. Because the doppelgangers don't talk. They've never learned how to speak.
Yes, and she's the only one who did, hence that's what threw you off. Yep. I can't remember whether I picked it or not, because I remember just not liking the movie. I'm like, this is kind of crap. But, okay, good one. Is it well known? Is it like well regarded that most people made that call?
Yeah, I think it's
pretty... Yeah?
Not, I mean, yeah.
I don't know.
It's on some lists, so you look online, you see this as one of those. So, I don't, again, not saying it's any great shakes, but it's one that stood out. After this, I would say all the rest of mine are good pulls.
Okay, we'll see. My 6 is Alien Covenants. We're going to have to go right back to you, son.
My 6 is from a horror film called Goodnight Mummy from 2014. And Wayne, you will not have seen this one.
No, I will not have. But tell us about Goodnight Mummy.
I'm going to guess you don't care.
No, bring it.
Good Night
What happens in
Mummy
the movie?
is basically about two twins who are running around a house. It's an Austrian film, Austrian-German film, and they're running around this sort of very rich kind of rural house, and the mum's had plastic surgery, so she's got like bandages around her and a face guard, a nose guard on, so she looks quite alien. And
All right.
This kid's like 8, 9, maybe 10.
Okay.
All right, so that sort of age range.
Sure.
They think it's not their mother who's come back from this surgery, and the whole film is from their perspective, and they're like, well, almost the whole film,
Yeah.
and they're like, she's someone else, and we need to find her out. And then they
And they can't see her face?
no,
Or is it
because
all
she's got
bandaged up?
bandages or
Yep,
whatever, and a big nose guard and whatever
Okay,
else.
yeah.
And then it turns out, I mean, in the end, they sort of tie her to a bed and whatever else, and are doing terrible things to her, trying to torture her into admitting who she is,
Jesus.
in effect. And then I'm like, hang on a second, I can see what's happened here. No, the twins have not just got it wrong. One of the twins is dead, and the other one is psychotic. And
Oh, really?
yeah, there's a couple of little clues.
I didn't see that. Oh, I haven't seen the movie, but
No,
that's,
you
that's
haven't
actually,
seen the film.
that's better. Is it actually the mom?
Yeah, it is the mum.
It is the mom.
Yeah, who dies when they light fire to the room. And
So
she
there's just
burns
one
to death.
crazy ass twin
Yeah.
who's fucking up with mom.
Yep.
That's fucked up.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Because the other twin died in a car accident.
But you
the same
called-
car accident the mum got the
Oh.
facial deformities / from memory. Anyway.
But you made the call.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yep.
That's
And
not
there's a
bad.
lot of these ones I could have done. There's a lot of those other kind of, oh, this isn't real. That character's a personification of their own psyche. It's a split personality thing. It's a externalizing of their own misdeeds. And I won't mention them
okay.
all because some of them come up in the listener feedback, which we'll get to at the end. But here's another example of that. A little bit clever-handed, more cleverly handled, but I saw it coming. The film's 95 minutes long. I saw it 40 minutes in at worst. I can't remember exactly what it was that tipped me off. I'm like, hang on. This is not what we're thinking it is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. They did their job, sort of, but not really. All right. My number 5, everyone, is a movie that just inexplicably, I don't even know why this movie was made, and I don't know why it was so shit. It had Robert De Niro in it and Al Pacino, and it was called Righteous Kill.
Oh.
Yeah.
I
So
don't
this.
think I've seen this one.
Well, I got
It's
some
okay.
bad news
Spoil
for you.
away.
Well, look, here's what happens is they're both cops, and it was touted to be this like, oh my god, Bobby D and fucking Al Pacino are acting again since Heat. It's the first time since Heat. It's been years. You may never see it again. Right?
Until The Irishman.
Yeah, and then, yeah. But before, this is like fucking, this movie is like motherfucking, I don't know, it's a long time ago. It's at least, it sounds like,
And everyone's forgotten it.
it's like 10 years. I'm thinking 5. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, basically it's a cop show. These two are cops. And the movie begins with Robert De Niro. His character is called Turk. And he's confessing to being the poetry boy. Turkleton. He's confessing to be the poetry boy killer on video. All right? All the way through the movie, it's kind of like, oh my God, he's this, that, and everyone's looking at him, and we don't know what's going on. And the end of the movie, it turns out his partner, who is Al Pacino, is the real killer.
Hooah!
Hooah! All right? Now, here's the problem with this thing, right? The way this movie is set up.
It's always the partner.
Yes! No, but there's only 2 massive actors in it, and there's no way, like, it's just done, and the way it's revealed is real VOD, man. It's real, like, it's soapy. It's shitty. And I'm thinking to myself, one, if you think that Robert De Niro isn't doing it, the only other person that could be doing it is Al Pacino. And it's done it in a really crap way. It's like, why did these two come together on this huge occasion to make this piece of shit? It's a real weird type of movie. Don't bother with it. There's a reason you haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
There's a reason you haven't seen it.
It's hard to believe that a film that stars Robert De Niro and Al Pacino did not catch my interest, but clearly the
I
reviews
know.
were poo.
I just went to hell. It was a crap.
All right, so that's a sad one. So is my number 5. It was the first film I saw back in cinemas just like 3-4 weeks ago. Follow Me. I talked about it on the top 10 last 10. Complete and utter garbage.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Horror film about a bunch of friends that go. One of them's got a big successful YouTube channel, and he does like escape from real life. That's his kind of theme.
Mm-hmm.
And they set up for him to do the world's ultimate escape room where people could die and all this
Okay.
kind of shit.
Okay.
And then I don't want to spoil it because it's so new.
Okay, but basically what you're saying is the twist that came in, you saw a mile away?
I saw the twist that was coming
And was it stupid? Was it because they fucked up?
on the basis what you just read there. I went, I bet it's this. I didn't
Really?
even see a frame of the film. I saw the trailer. No, that's a lie. I saw a trailer. I didn't see a frame of the actual film, and I walked in there going, I bet you it's this.
And nothing?
And the whole way
Totally.
through the film, I bet you it's this, and I bet you that's that, and I bet you it. And I was fucking right. This film is so dumb
And predictable.
and predictable. You just need to watch the trailer, and you'll know how it ends.
Now, do you think as a man who has dabbled in writing himself, you are at a position to perhaps be more insightful about this type of thing?
I'm reluctant to admit that because I think this film is so
Yeah.
God awfully dumb.
If someone's pitching, if you're basically hearing a pitch by watching a trailer, and you go, I bet you it's this, and then you nail it from there, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And also, but is there any...
and I would have put money on it. Like, this is one of those things where I would have just gone, it's one or two things. I would put, so it's 50-50. I would put more than $1.90, like it's $1.90 there for odds, which is when it's 50-50. I'd go all in. Here's $50 on this. It's this.
Really? Okay, let me ask you this. This is a very cerebral...
all in. That's a bad description. More than $50.
This is a cerebral ass question. A guy like you, all right? You're watching a movie. You know and think you've picked the ending. The ending comes, you turn out to be right. Is your satisfaction level higher than your entertained level? No, you'd rather be wrong and entertained.
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay.
I want the film to fool me. The films we talked about last week are almost to a film. Like, there's nothing on my list here that's high. I mean, Us is the one exception where I was like, that's okay. Every other film on this list is poor, is a failure. Alien Covenant, I don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
The other 8 films on this all fucking... and again, Dark Knight, of course.
Okay, yeah.
That one didn't matter so much. It's just that's more an indictment on that whole thing where let's give you a fake death, hey! And 20 minutes later reveal it's not true.
I mean, yeah, that's another thing that the director would argue. This is more of a development rather. It's not supposed to fool you. It's for the criminal anyway. All right, my number 4, everyone. There's a film called The Illusionist, which has Ed Norton in it. Now, this came out around the same time as The Prestige.
It's the poor. It's
the shit one. It's the shit one.
Redhead stepchild.
Exactly.
Sorry, redheads.
Redhead, yeah.
Stepchild.
I like redhead.
Well, sorry, stepchildren.
This is how Hollywood does, the two pairings of the movies. This wasn't a terrible film by comparison, though it was a terrible film.
Does it have Selma Hayek in it?
It has, no, it's got Jessica Biel in it.
Oh, jeez, how do I get those two mixed up?
I think I know. You want to hit it both. All right. This one's more of a love story than a gotcha film. So to be fair, there is a big twist in the end. Long story short, Ed Norton's a famous illusionist. He's in turn of the century Vienna. He falls in love with this Duchess girl who's betrothed to the evil Crown Prince Leopold, who's a cunt.
Is there ever a non-evil Crown Prince?
Exactly, right? Especially one that's betrothed to the woman you want, or the hero wants, right? So she tries to break up with the Crown Prince. He gets angry and chases her with a sword. Then she's found dead in the woods later. And then Ed Norton... You know what I'm saying? Ed Norton then gets really despondent, starts to change his magic act. He's a famous illusionist. And he starts to summon the spirit of dead people like the Duchess. And she gets on stage and she says, I was killed by someone in the room. And the Crown Prince is in the room in the big theater. And then this makes the police rush and try and grab him. But Ed Norton turns out to be a spirit. That's not the surprise.
The surprise is she's not dead.
The surprise is, what happened is she faked her death to get away from the prince and be with Ed Norton. And the way I picked it up is when the inspector and his friends are searching like Ed Norton's workshop, he picks up a glass bottle with a dark red liquid in it. And you can see in the movie, and I saw this, fucking Ed Norton he puts it in a suitcase and gives it to fucking the Duchess before her murder, and that's what contained the blood mixture to fake the murder. I called that shit! Having said that,
hot damn.
It is the only one I've ever called.
Well, presumably there's 3 more higher on your list.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, I have a complex relationship with the other 3 on my list. You'll see.
All right. Good. Well, that's a good pick. I have seen that movie once. Don't remember much about it, to be brutally honest. So well played, you.
No problem.
My number 4 is a film called The Bone Collector from 1999.
Oh, that's our girl Angelina.
It's Angelina. There you go.
There you go.
Not your other Angelina film?
Nope.
Okay. And Denzel Washington, I doth believe.
I do like this show. She was a 5-0. She was like a beat
Also
cop.
directed by Philip Noyce.
Nice.
Noyce. I knew that Leland Orser, the actor, was the killer in this film.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Spoilers. He was the chess player. Is that another guy?
Can't remember that part. I know, he's his physical therapist.
But he plays chess with
Yes,
sometimes.
yes,
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Do you pick this one? Yep. I did not pick this one. I absolutely got fooled like a bitch.
Let's be honest. I picked this one because I remember names.
Oh, really?
Not of people when I meet them, but I remember names of actors in films I love.
Sure.
Right, so one of the reasons we can do this podcast, and other when I blank, which has happened at least twice today.
Yeah, it happens when you drink.
Good. What are 2.5 beers? Give me a break.
I'm talking about me.
His name in the credits was like 5th. And we'd seen him twice.
Yes.
Playing physical therapy.
I
and I'm
see.
like, hang on.
Yeah, you Sherlock Holmes do this shit, man.
What? Why would his name... Because I remembered him from Alien Resurrection. He's a big character in Alien Resurrection. He dies, quite obviously, but he was right on my radar because of that. So I'm like, oh, that's a dude from Resurrection, and I've barely seen him Oh, I guess that means he's the killer then.
Oh man, that's hard. Your intellect is a curse. That's really harsh because I would have said that going like, because you're thinking to yourself, hey, there's other characters that had way more screen time, but they aren't in the top 5
Yes.
billing. So you had some fucking Poirot shit happen to you, man. That's like,
Well, it's nice that you put it that way. I just like, that's a real cheat.
I
that
would never
that
have-
picked
I
the
would
film.
never
It wasn't
have
an
noticed
in-house clue. It wasn't.
no, it is. That's proper like fucking
No, this was-
incidental fucking.
Yeah, incidental, but
smack
nothing
you
to do
out.
with the film. So it's not an indictment on the film this time.
No.
Like,
It's
they
an
didn't
indictment
play their
on
hand
the
too
Hollywood
heavily.
system of credits, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't
maybe.
know. You know what I'm saying? Like the and credit. It's always a weird one.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly.
Anyway. Okay, not bad. Nice one. I'm
Yeah.
impressed you got that.
You might be hearing some noise behind us just because it's raining like bucket loads
It
here
is.
today.
It's rather
so
a heavy,
apologies
wet
for
day,
that.
but,
All
you
right,
know.
but over to Wayne for his number 3.
Okay, here's my Jolie movie, the other one. All right. It's a movie called The Tourist. Now,
Oh yeah.
everyone.
Oh yeah.
This movie and the release thereof is actually baffling. The story isn't baffling. The production is. Now, here's an example of a film
Johnny
where...
Depp, right?
Yeah, Johnny Depp, Angelina Jolie, everything going for it. These two arguably near towards around the height of their careers. Beautifully set in Europe. Gorgeous film. I was freeze-framing the film just to look at, I know you think I'm a bitch, what Angelina Jolie is wearing. She has the best clothes in this
I'm much
film.
more interested in you being interested in her what she's wearing rather than what Johnny Depp was wearing.
That's true,
Which is
that's
normally
true,
what we
that's
talk
true.
about on the show.
But but I'm telling you, if you watch this movie, the costume designer should have gotten just an Oscar for having great taste. She looks beautiful, all right? Now, here's the plot. She sits in this cafe. She reads a letter telling her to take the train to Venice, pick a man of the sender's height and build, chat him up. She basically knows she's being watched. Long story short, Johnny Depp, who's the guy, is tricked into appearing to be a billionaire named Pierce.
Isn't
that
it
everyone
his
wants to kill.
perspective film or is it hers?
It's from both.
Okay.
It's not. Yeah. But it does. It goes back and forth. But everyone wants to kill this billionaire, and Angelina Jolie has tricked Johnny Depp into pretending to be this guy to make him a
Yeah, so,
target.
yeah, exactly. He's the tourist.
Yes, he's
Yeah,
the tourist.
He's the protagonist. She's whatever the. She's not the
Oh, yeah.
antagonist.
No. But this is what happens in the movie. So I mean, like, yeah. Anyway. The twist is that the whole way along, he actually is like, what's going on here? He finally cottons on I'm supposed to be this billionaire. So he pretends to be the billionaire to save her, right? And at the end of the movie, he really is the billionaire. That's right. He's had a facelift and she didn't recognize him when they used to bone. And there's all this sort of stuff that goes on. But let me tell you something.
So you picked it.
I picked it like a motherfucker because I'm like, this is...
Dumb.
The only first of all, it's impossible for him to have been that billionaire. If you watch the movie, it's like no, none of those things could have happened. And my thinking was, if he is the billionaire, this movie sucks. He was, and it did.
And yeah, people slated this film. Can I just say,
Yeah,
if you've had plastic surgery to go from looking whatever he looked like before to look like Johnny Depp then, now I realize that Johnny Depp's name is now Mud, but back then, like that's some pretty good fucking plastic surgery.
dude. First of all, this is really weird. If you watch this movie and watch Johnny Depp, he's not an attractive man in this movie.
Isn't he?
He's kind of fat with stupid hair. That's what he looks like. All right. I don't know what that was about because Johnny Depp is well known for being like attractive, right? And by the way,
yeah, ridiculously young for his
yeah,
age. And
for the record, I don't buy that Amber Heard wench. Anyway, so I think he's okay. I think she's a gold digger. One guy talking. I've done some reading. Anyway, so yeah, it's a really shit
I am
film.
neither here nor there. Let's let the court sort it out.
It's a shit film, but it looks beautiful. Okay, The Tourist, not fooling you or me.
All right, there we go. My number 3 then is a film which I've spoken about on the show. And I want to give a big shout out here to Dan from the Netflix and Spiel podcast, who for some reason doesn't like it when I mention the twist in this film.
Okay,
And that I spotted it 25 minutes in.
go on.
It's Shutter Island.
We did talk about this at the last show. Now, you called this, and you maintain. Go on.
There's a moment when they're entering into the facility,
Right.
when Mark Ruffalo gives an awkward kind of look, and then it's supplemented not long after that with he fumbles with his gun.
Fumbles with the gun and drop it. Yep.
Yeah, like so we got these 2 moments to go. I'm like, what if he's not really an agent? Oh, hang on. What if Leo's not really an? What if this is therapy? Now, look, and I think you said maybe it's because of your profession as a therapist.
Yes.
Maybe, but not that I've ever gone to anything near the levels of
No.
intricacy
That
here,
would probably be illegal.
which is so therefore almost that works against me because I shouldn't even be thinking that way because it's so ridiculous. If that makes any sense, but. Yeah, for me it was obvious. Now, obviously, didn't know why they were doing that. That had to come out through the course of the film.
Yeah.
That he killed his wife after his wife killed his children, That part I did not know why, although eventually it becomes through the
Was
the
it
plot
those
mechanics.
two moments that gave you the tip
Yeah.
off? Like, and one you're like maybe, and two it's like definitely.
Yep. But I think even the look was enough. I just went, well, this is that.
Do you think that Marty could have played that more subtly?
Yes,
then?
I think this is a
Definitely?
bad moment in the film. Didn't
Yeah.
need to happen. Like, he wants to go back to that moment and go, there's your clue.
Yeah.
And then there's your clue. And there's probably 3 or 4 other clues spread throughout it because he's that kind of filmmaker. The other ones I don't remember. This one completely tipped me off.
I didn't notice. I noticed the gun, but I didn't think anything of it. The thing that I think, if anything, gave me, and I didn't call this, I'm not saying I will, but if Mark Ruffalo played it, and I'm sure he was directed to play it like someone who was playing to be a detective, like he was not a rope. He
Accomplished.
wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't an accomplished. He was just kind of, I'm here. You know, he's
Yep.
almost like a guy playing like in the play, like an amateur actor. So I think that's actually good. That's the only thing that would have tipped me off, which it did not. So yeah, for me it worked, but I get how you would have nailed it. Nice one.
Yeah, I guess it was overplayed is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, fair enough. Good call.
Okay, that's my 3. Your 2.
My number 2, everyone, is a film that it's only released last year, so I'm not going to give it away, but I will tell you about it. It's Knives Out.
Okay.
Now,
Can you not give away the
I'm not going to give it away. It's going to be a problem, okay? Now, this is about basically this renowned crime novelist, Howland Thrombey, like Christopher Plummer. He's found dead at his estate after his 85th birthday. There's an inquisitive, like, detective, Benoit Blanc, Daniel Craig. He's investigating, and basically the move, everyone's a suspect, pretty much, okay? Now, I was a bit pissed off that I figured it out and failed to be surprised at the movie. Remember when we saw this movie, Paul?
Yeah, I do.
It was a nice advanced screening.
Pre-COVID, where we go to advanced screenings.
Advanced screening for
Watch movies.
That's right. I was
with a
like,
packed cinema.
Right. It was beautiful, great. I love Ryan Johnson. I love whodunit movies. I love Daniel Craig. I even brought a date to it. Remember I brought a date?
Yep.
And this is going to be an interesting like insight into my personality. She'll be like, oh, he likes fucking intellectual fucking movies like this and shit. And none of that shit happened though. Okay.
No!
Yes.
Thank
that's
you, Will
right.
Smith.
The idea was that it would be interesting. And then the movie ended up being kind of not that accessible or something. And the problem, I wanted the moment in this movie where I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe how good that film was and how, logically, how by extension, how good this night is and all. The movie kind of halfway through for me suggests it's this guy this person who's the killer. I'm so sorry.
Look,
And then,
I won't say anymore. But
yeah, but then what it does, it brings you around to a few others, and I'm like, but I still think it's that person, and then it ends up being that person, and I'm like, fuck, I was pissed about it. Do you remember?
Look, I do remember how the film works. It wasn't that long ago. But my point is,
I watched it again too.
given the film, and I have to be careful here as well because you're talking around spoilers and so will I. The film leads you in one direction and basically reveals something very important very early on, right? And then there's some nuance to it, okay? Are you saying you picked both those parts, or you picked the nuance?
I do. I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. I know we can't do this, but let me tell you this: the person that it wound up being, person.
NBA Jam, if everyone's wondering.
It's a stupid joke. But to me, it's almost as though the movie, this is how the movie felt. It's almost like they told you halfway through the movie, that's when I went, it must be him. But it would be silly because they just said that and there's still a whole another half a movie to go. But it ended up being him. So I'm not sure, I can't, it's hard to say this.
There are. So you've chosen to not talk this one up, and same what I did with the film was just being released.
Yeah.
You're right, but you're kind of not right because it does throw some really big curveballs along the way. No, I mean, I'm not saying you're right.
Yeah.
I'm not having a go at you.
Yeah.
You're
No,
right,
it's cool.
and you stuck with that. But when I say you're right, I mean I think you're missing some of the other bits.
I am. They definitely pointed you in other directions, but for some reason I was convinced, and then I was
never
right.
changed. Okay,
yeah,
fair enough.
It was weird. It was weird. There you are. Anyway, great show.
All right. My number 2 is a film which Wayne inexplicably seems to defend or want to whenever it comes up on the show. It's from 1994, so I can spoil the absolute fucking shit out of it.
Go for it, son.
And I have mentioned this on the podcast as well. It's Colour of Night, starring Bruce Willis.
I was looking at this and I thought this should have been on my list for last week. This one fooled the titties out me, man. That's it.
Well, ironically, titties are important in the discussion. They did not fool me.
All right,
no matter
Paul.
how baggy the clothes are, nor bad the glasses are, nor shit ass the wig, nor bad.
Tell us about the movie first. Tell us what it is.
The film follows Bruce Willis is a therapist who,
Like Paul.
who takes over his friend's therapy group when he dies.
That's right. He
And-
quantum leaps out, and then he gets killed and shit. Right?
Yeah, he gets killed. And he starts, because of course this is what all good therapists do, they bang a patient. Which is just fucking terrible. Actually, now that I say that,
No, he didn't bang
she
a
wasn't
patient.
a patient.
Yeah, he
She
banged
was the
a woman.
sister
Exactly.
of one of the patients.
That's right.
Yes.
And then this group that Bruce
Still,
Willis takes over.
should not be happening.
Exactly. It's full of people. It's full of like fucking,
Anyway,
and then
the
one of
patients
them
start
is
being killed off one by one.
right. And one of the patients is this odd-looking boy.
Yeah.
Right?
And anyway, I went, if you were like inclined to do so and took the hat off and the glasses off and maybe some fake teeth and took the terrible wig off and maybe gave her some form-fitting clothes, could that boy be that girl? The answer, yes.
All right. Well, hang on. Basically, Scott Bakula banged Jane March, and then she starts banging Bruce Willis, and then you see his dick. All right.
Yeah, Bruce Willis.
Exactly. Right. But the end of the you want to get your sound ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
But let Wayne tell the story because he was so fucking. I was like, this is fucking terrible.
Well, there's
It's
one boy.
garbage.
There's one boy in the clip who looks odd, and he talks about how people think he's transgender or gay or this, that, whatever. So that there was an allocation made for that. All right. But then you find out later on that boy is
the girl. You wanted the other way.
by girl meaning James March. Exactly.
Yes,
Right.
yeah.
So
which I picked 100%.
now the reveal happens in this movie at the end where Hector, whatever his name is, that dude is on the roof with Bruce Willis, and then Bruce Willis is sitting next to this boy and goes, "I want to speak to whatever her name is, Jane." Right. Say, and then he pulls off the wig, and I was like, "It was her the whole time." Paul, on the other hand, has already taken a shit on my lap.
Buried my head in my hands, shaking it. Like,
And I was like,
this
that
is
was a
fucking
huge
dumb.
reveal. Again, I didn't want to think, and I had just seen Bruce's dick.
So Wayne, in other words, was satisfied.
What? No.
Yeah, no, look, this one got me, but you were like, where? What stage in the movie were you like, that's the fucking dude? Oh, that's a chick. I
I don't know if we saw this one together or not.
don't know if we did or not.
Whoever I was with, actually, I do think it was my girlfriend at the time. I just leant over and said, "If you took that off and did this," and she goes, "Oh my god, you're right."
That's Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fucking hell. Oh, God. All right. Yeah, well done, man. I didn't want to know, but I didn't know. So there you go.
All right, then. So here it is. Give us a replay 3, 10, 3, 2, and then give us your number one time that you have failed to be fooled and that you want to shit on the filmmakers for
VIP. Here we go.
trying and failing.
There we go. Number 10, Salt. Number 9, Ocean's 12. 8, The Firm. 7, Superman Returns. 6, Alien Covenant. 5, Righteous Kill. 4, The Illusionist. 3, The Tourist. 2, Knives Out. And my number one now, everyone, let me tell you about this movie here, okay? Because it's going to be hard to swallow, okay? This number one is a bad film. It has a sequel, also a bad film. I've seen this movie 4 times. I've seen the sequel twice. The movie is Now You See Me. Okay.
Theoretically, this sound could replace all other sounds on the soundboard.
I don't know which is worse, but fuck your whole thing. Now, Paul almost played a song there, but he fucked it up and nothing happened.
looking at
so
me,
it was
dog.
really funny, bitch. Okay, everyone. Now You See Me is a curious gumbo of Ocean's 11, The Prestige, and a superhero movie. It's about these 4 magicians called the 4 Horsemen, except one's a chick, and it's Woody Harrelson and Jesse Eisenberg and
You're
motherfucking
right. 4 horsemen. And there's a chick.
yeah, I know. Isla Fisher.
Yeah.
And who's the other one?
Dave Franco.
Dave Franco, that's right. Sorry. And then they are basically famous in Vegas and stuff like that. And it's a long bullshit story, but all I can tell you is there's some like big heist going on, and the FBI thinks that these magicians are involved, so they assign Mark Ruffalo to be the investigating officer, and at every single step of the way he gets like fucking outsmarted by these magicians doing cool shit and throwing cards at him and doing other shit and disappearing.
Wayne so wanted to believe this.
I so wanted to believe
But
it, right?
even he couldn't fall for it.
Dude. And I remember walking through the movie, and it's like, okay, well, it's all about this big bad guy who is like, supposedly controlling everything behind the scenes, and fucking, you're led to sort of believe it's Morgan Freeman maybe, but it's not, right? And what happens at the end is, I'm thinking halfway through, the only person that this could be if it's not one of the Horsemen, and it's not, is Mark Ruffalo, and the bad guy is Mark fucking Ruffalo. It's exactly the dickhead who, by the way, cannot possibly be the bad guy. Because this movie, all right, actually says that this Mark Ruffalo is actually the son of the big, huge fucking this magician that everyone fucking revered. So in order to have put this plan together, he would have had to join the FBI at the age of like 19, all right? Run through the ranks, go all the way through the fucking system, and somehow be assigned this case. He didn't even ask for it. There's a scene where they give him the case and he kind of resists, right? And then he gets to run the whole thing. Ridiculously bad. However, I love this film. Oh, sorry, I don't love this film. I like watching this film. Okay? For some reason, the Vegasness, the magic, the this, the that, the fuck. It's cool. Even the sequel, there's a scene where they're in this like server room. That was a cool
throwing
scene.
the card around.
The card was good.
The only
man.
saving grace
It
of
was
that
a
otherwise
great-
piece of shit
I know
film.
it's a piece of shit, but I don't know why I like it. It's a weird thing. It's a weird
Go back and
complex
check out our
brain.
review of that long time ago. All right, well there you go. That's Wayne's number one. My number one now. Again, you can't really compare these because it's
Nope. It's just us being fuckwits.
My number 10, technically The Dark Knight, but all films which do a fake out character death which couldn't possibly have died. 9, Terminator Genesis again, trailers that ruin films. 8, Alien Covenant. 7, Us. 6, Goodnight Mummy. 5, 2020's Follow Me. 4, The Bone Collector. 3, Shutter Island. 2, Color of Night. My number one is a film which I went and saw inebriated in 2000.
Oh, go on.
It's called The Gift, directed by Sam Raimi, stars
Yeah.
Kate Blanchett, Katie Holmes, Greg
Keanu Reeves.
Kinnear, J.K. Simmons,
Yeah.
Giovanni Ribisi.
Keanu Reeves, isn't it? Have you said that?
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves, yeah,
Yep.
I remember that one.
We were at this,
What happened in this
film, right? So if Katie Holmes disappears,
Right.
and they're assuming she's dead.
Oh, by the way, titty bonus.
From Katie Holmes?
Yeah, it was great.
I don't remember that at all.
Trust me.
Turns out that Keanu Reeves is having an affair with her or some shit, and they pin him for the murder. And Kate Blanchett is this medium who
Got a bun in the oven, as I recall.
don't even remember that part.
Yeah.
But I remember that she thinks, based on her visions, that, yeah, it's Keanu. So they arrest him because once they drag the lake next to his house and her body's in it, that's enough circumstantial
And he's a real
evidence.
prick, by the way.
He's a real
prick.
He's a real
Keanu
piece of
playing a
shit.
prick.
Beating up on his wife and,
Oh, he's
and
an
whatever
asshole.
else. So, flash forward in the film, and Greg Kinnear is Katie Holmes's husband.
Yeah.
Right. And they head out towards whatever to do whatever. And I'm like, I literally, in my drunken stupor, which I fell asleep for 20 minutes in this movie.
Yeah, you still fucking
And
picked
I
it.
turned to my then partner and I said, he's the murderer. And then when Giovanni Ribisi turned up and helped her kill him, I'm like, he's dead. He killed himself. And that's exactly what transpired in this movie.
Really? You don't lose the sound?
Well, I do want to use that just because not only did I pick the twist, but I picked the double twist.
So wait,
And-
who, what, who?
Giovanni Ribisi is this mentally handicapped character.
Yes.
Oh, very, very mentally ill character, and he gets put in this mental asylum,
Yep.
sanitarium, and somehow he turns up out of the blue. And so, even in my drunken state, I'm like, well, he can't be here, because that would have been a much bigger deal than he just escaped.
So who's the bad guy?
Greg Kinnear.
Oh!
And he's about to kill Kate Blanchett because she realizes it's him.
That's right.
And
now I
Giovanni
remember.
Ribisi turns up and helps her kill him.
Yeah.
And
that's
then
right.
when she gets back to the hospital, the sheriff, J.K. Simmons, says, no, he hung himself earlier today.
So what does it mean?
So it's his ghost that came and helped
His
him.
ghost did it? That's the thing?
Yeah.
I forgot all of this.
Yeah. Whereas I picked it all.
You thought that someone was a ghost, you fucking freak? Why did you think he was a ghost? Oh, that guy must be a fucking ghost. What?
I know. And,
Okay,
but
I
again,
can see that's
the
your number
reason it's
one.
my number one is I even fell asleep in the film and still fucking
No,
picked
that's,
it.
you could probably be quite proud of that. I think that's fine. I can't believe you're like, oh, I bet that guy's a ghost. What? You fucking freak.
And I vividly remember my partner at the time looking at me like, exactly your words in her face. You're a freak.
Do you know, everyone, folks, whenever, if this ever happened when we were kids, like someone actually picked a plot development, we used to call them the plotomatic for that day. I remember I was once the plotomatic when we were watching a movie called Mulholland Falls, and it had
Drive?
No, Mulholland Falls. This had Nick Nolte and who's that girl? Like Jennifer Connelly at
Yeah.
the time. This is back in the day. And then we used to like Jennifer Connelly.
used to.
We still like her, right?
Yep.
But it was known from Rocketeer that she was well
Amazing.
endowed, right? And she was, and then what
I
happened
will
was
stick with amazing.
okay, but here's what happened. It's important for the story that we were like, oh wow, Jennifer Connelly, and someone next to me, I believe it was Adam, was like, yeah, she's hot. Unfortunately, like she's clothed, is what he said. And I said, oh, don't worry, there'll be a flashback of her titties. And immediately there was a flashback of her titties. So there you go. That's right.
Hard to believe that wasn't number one on Wayne's list.
Magic.
Hard to believe and incredibly inappropriate. Let's move on then.
I know.
Any honorable mentions, Wayne? I've only got the one myself.
All right. Did you see what's it called? Perfect Strangers with Bruce Willis and Halle Berry?
I don't know.
That's got a really massive twist coming, and everything else. No, that was it. That's the only one I've got. Go for it.
Was it recent? You can give the twist away.
Oh,
What
okay.
was
The
it?
twist is basically that Halle Berry fucking she starts to date Bruce Willis and yada and all this sort of shit. And the twist is that she actually...
She's too good for him?
Well, that's not a twist.
No, you're right. As I said that, I realized, hang on, no.
Well, there was this murder that's being discovered, and basically it turns out that she is actually the one who murdered Grace, who's the person that got killed, and because that person was blackmailing her, and she was trying to angle Bruce Willis to take the fall for it.
Ah, that makes sense then why she's batting out under her league.
That's right, and that's why I'm always wondering when there's an attractive woman. It's like, she's trying to get me hung for a murder. No question.
Fair enough. I have a very similar honorable mention. It's Hide and Seek, starring Bobby De Niro.
I've forgotten that movie. I'm sure I've seen it.
And it's the same type of thing when the protagonist ends up being the killer. That Secret Window with Johnny Depp.
That's a piece of shit.
It was a piece of shit, although don't mix it up with The Ninth Gate, which was also a piece of shit.
Oh, maybe I am, because they're both pieces of shit.
Shit starring Johnny
And I
Depp.
think
And
it's a
in
bigger
both of those films, they are the killer when it's being suggested there's some supernatural, spiritual kind of other person who's doing it. / in Hide and Seek, it's his kid's, a made-up friend.
The only worse trope than that is it was all a dream. That is a piece of shit Deus Ex Machina fucking lazy-ass writing bullshit, that is. Yeah.
All right, that's our list. What about yours? Let's wrap up this week's episode like we do every week in a segment that we call the Pop 10.
I don't know if y'all got that, but I was trying to turn away from the mic because I was belching, but Paul caught me with the sound.
Talk about Pop 10. Talk about Pop 10. Kicking off this week's Pop 10 with the super listener Chad on Twitter, who said, "Am I the only person in the freaking world that knew Bruce Willis was dead in the first 15 minutes of the sixth season?
I do believe you are the Chad.
I watched it with my wife, and she was surprised again while I was bored."
Good Lord, how
Wow.
did you make that call? Well done, old man.
Chris Yini, good friend, high level patron of the show, said, "Number 1, Pet Cemetery. Ellie instead of Gage. Damn trailer."
That was good, though, right? You're talking about the new Pet Cemetery, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Winter Soldier, Nick Fury faking death. And number 3, Frozen, Hans using Anna.
Have you seen Frozen?
Yeah.
Is it good?
No.
Okay.
Great for kids.
Sure.
Great for my daughter when she was 3 for like 18 months. Now she's not interested. She didn't want to watch Frozen 2.
Good Lord.
Shaken Not Nerds, Duty, good friend to the show. Another patron said, Alien Covenant with Michael Fassbender at the end, of course. Michael Myers somehow escaping or surviving in that shit 2018 film, which he just says that to fucking annoy me. Thank you, Duty.
Really?
And number 3, Titanic. I totally knew that boat was going to sink. Like that one. Clubber Lang's Pity said, Source Code picked out the obvious culprit the first time they showed the bombing sequence.
Amazing.
And spent the rest of the film bored as it kept throwing red herrings at the screen.
Oh, come on, man. How did you pick that one? All right, good one.
Impressive.
Well done.
Gidget Von LaRue, good friend from the Retro Cinema podcast, said, The Crying Game. The Crying Game.
She saw the dick coming?
The Crying Game. There you go. So she was very, and even last week she was like shocked that anyone couldn't have seen that coming. So
But
clearly,
if you managed to see the Crying Game without knowing about dick, that's amazing. It was so well publicized even before the internet that there was dick involved.
if you're an adult and you saw that film without knowing about dick,
I don't know if that's the sound when you see a dick, but all right.
we know what the sound is when you've seen breasts.
Remember we used to think that? We used to say every movie where there's a titty bonus should have a mandatory boing
to be honest,
soundtrack.
it could also be a penis bonus. Boing.
No, penises don't go boing.
Well,
They go like
maybe your penis does.
no, it's just like flop. It's like bleh.
Anyway, moving on to Sam Hurley from the Movie Reviews and 20Qs podcast. Good friend, another patron of the show, said, Hide and Seek. Hey, I bet he's actually the bad guy. Yep, that one I just spoke about.
Nice one.
Number 2, Secret Window. Hey, I bet he's actually the bad guy. And number 1, Paddington. No matter how much he completely fucks it up, it was obvious that everything was going to be all right in the end.
I haven't seen Paddington, but I want to. Oh wait, no, I did the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, NC2. All right, cool.
Be the Solution on Twitter said, I subscribe to the Wayne School of watching movies. However, number 3, The Village,
Nice.
Modern Era. Number 2, Coco, his real dad. I picked that one. Could have
I did
totally
not.
used that one.
I did not.
Number 1, Frozen, Hans being the villain.
There it is again.
Christopher England said, Angel Heart. However, the apparent twist did not lessen the love I have of that film one bit.
Let me tell you something, right? That is one movie where the marketing fucked with me before there was even a
Oh, so
trailer.
you saw...
I saw a poster, and it says to say the character's name fast. That's all I'll tell you.
Oh.
And it gave it away immediately. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh,
And then
there you go. You've got your Dark Knight /
Fucking
Winter
bullshit.
Soldier.
It's bullshit.
No. What was I saying with that? Oh, the Terminator Genesis and Salvation. Yep. Bridie Jenner said the others # plot twist. You won't probably have seen that
I do
movie.
actually know what happens though.
Okay,
What it is.
all right.
That sounds cool.
The Elevator Pitch podcast said, I don't know why, but I saw the twist of Shutter Island about halfway through. You and I, Elevator Pitch, you and I.
God damn.
Mina Harker said Coco was pretty predictable,
Really?
as was Frozen, but The Village was both awful and predictable, was his number 1.
Your view, Paul, on that movie?
I don't remember if I picked it or not, but I wasn't shocked at
Okay.
the end, a la the previous couple of M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, that was the one that started.
Dawson Schmidt, Alien Covenant, that Walter was really David in the end. We really need a good new Alien movie. Totally agree. David Power, top level patron of the show, said, I'm with Paul on Shutter Island, and I think anyone who's seen Angel Heart, which did surprise me, was predisposed to suspect these kinds of twists. Interesting link between those two.
Telling you guys.
Pretty much every mask reveal in the Mission Impossible series after the first movie, apart from the Simon Pegg one, and number 1, Us. Nothing in this movie was remotely surprising, and I saw every plot beat coming a mile off. There you go, Wayne.
Nice one.
Last couple then, Blake Jarvis, Star Trek Into Darkness. Gee, lots of people picked that one.
I know, man.
Lots
I am happy
and
that it fooled me.
lost.
I am happy. I would not have liked it as much. It's my favorite of the 3.
Number 2, Us. And number 1, Get Out for Blake. And then lastly, Smiley Samani says Hide and Seek. De Niro's made some real stinkers. The Illusionist. Same issue.
that's
Builds
fun.
up the death of the romantic interest much of the movie. And whoa, she's alive all along. No shit, Sherlock. What else could the grand illusion have been? Don't. And pretty much any modern day rom-com. Boy meets girl. Boy loses girl. Boy gets girl back at the last minute. Ugh.
Yeah, but that's why I like him.
Wayne likes a bit of predictability.
That I
in
do.
his
Makes you feel safe.
day. Thank you so much to everyone who gets back to us. We're sorry we can't get through all of the feedback. We really, truly do appreciate it, and it helps shape the show. Wayne, how do the listeners let us know their thoughts on the topic at hand, or indeed other things about the show?
Get all our socials by Googling The Countdown Podcast, or send us an email at thecountdownpodcast@gmail.com.
Hit us up on Twitter at The Countdown PC. Follow us, like the show on podbean.com where we host, and check out ccradio.com.au for ourselves and other great Aussie podcasts. And Facebook is the community. Also, check us out there.
Yeah.
Links in the show notes. And that's it for today's episode 280 of The Countdown. We're pretty close to the 300th episode now. Have to think about something special for
Yeah,
that
we'll do something
come
like that.
early next year. There's about 20 weeks left in the year. Maybe it's right at the end of this year.
Yeah, how about a belching competition?
Top 10 belches. Yeah, very, very interesting, I'm sure. But Wayne, what are we doing next week's episode 281 of The Countdown?
We're doing something called Chris versus Chris versus Chris versus Chris. That's right. We'll figure it out how that's going to work out. But this
Now,
this comes from... Tell us, Paul.
it comes from Blake Jarvis. So thank you, Blake, patron to the show, for your suggestion here. We put out the word in the Facebook list of community links in the show notes and said, hey, we're not going to use all these, but just give us some ideas. And
And I love that link. Everyone,
9, 10, 20 of these
Fantastic.
tickled our fancy, and they're really going to help us out through these COVID-affected times.
it's fucking hard to think of this shit. Let me
And
tell
after
you.
280 episodes, the world's starting to run a little bit dry, but we will return to some early ones as well because we're 5 years on from them and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, this is a good one. So it's Chris Hemsworth
Yep.
versus Chris Evans versus Chris Pine versus Chris Pratt. So the hot Chris's,
The Hot Chris's
they're
top 10 films.
top 10 films that they have one or more of them have been in.
That's right. Oh, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Yes,
Yeah.
it will be very tough, but it'll be very entertaining. So
Yeah.
there it is. That's episode 281 of The Countdown, coming your way in a week's time if you're listening to this on drop day. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a great pleasure to have entertained you for this, hopefully, or for this length of time. My name is Paul.
My name's Wayne.
And this has been The Soundboard.
Asshole.
And on that bombshell, we're done. See ya!